And Mark, we will move on into yet another rookie quarterback, and this one should be a little bit more fun to talk about and less negative than the Nathan Peterman topic, because Sam Darnold is going to start for the New York Jets. And if it was I think it was Adam Schefter, I was looking at a tweet that he said about Sam Darnold. And he said, with Sam Darnold starting on Monday Night Football, he will be the youngest, not only the youngest quarterback to start an opening game in NFL history, it will also be the 11th season in a row where we will have a rookie starting a Week 1 season opener for an NFL team. What I am going to ask you is, what should we all expect from Sam Darnold and the Jets this season with Darnold as the starter?
I think it's a little mixed because, there's going to be people out there who are going to want to say that he's going to be amazing and he's going to do great things and he's going to be able to go out there and win any game he wants, et cetera, et cetera. And then there's going to be the other side where people are going to say, oh, the guy doesn't know what he's doing. He's a rookie. He's going to make dumb mistakes. What are the Jets thinking? They're going to lose every game. But really, to me, I see it like this. This is a team that's all right, but they're not great. They definitely have a ways to go. They've got a good quarterback. He looked good in the preseason, but not amazing in the preseason necessarily. And what it sits there and it looks to me is we're not going to see a Deshaun Watson type of guy who's going to go out there with this amazing team and just be able to go light everybody up and, this team's going to win everything. And even then, the Texans didn't win all their games either. They still had losses as well. But with Sam Darnold, he doesn't have that luxury. He's not on an amazing team. He's on a fine team, but he's not on an amazing team. He doesn't have tons of weapons around him. He doesn't have a ton of help. He's going to make rookie mistakes, of course. He's going to have good moments, sure. But I think what we're going to see is a fairly genuine rookie of plays well, plays poorly. Inconsistencies, silly mistakes that he's going to learn from, and some development out of him out of the season. But it's nice to see. It's going to be enjoyable because you're going to have those shining moments, those promises. But if you're a Jets fan, you can't get your hopes up too high either because the team's just not ready yet. This is part of the process. Just got to accept it and, trust it and be okay with not that many wins this year because your team will be just getting even better and moving in the right direction.
Well, and the thing that I found interesting and kind of what sparked this as a topic idea for us on the podcast is there's an article on ESPN from this morning from Rich Samini where it basically says the headline is Jets rush Sam Darnold into starting lineup hoping for Carson Wentz. And it kind of got me thinking because the thing that I was thinking about was I'm like, Carson Wentz, I knew for sure. I was really high when it was the whole Goff Wentz debate when we were having that for the 2016 NFL draft. I was on the Carson Wentz bandwagon 110%. There was something about him that I knew there was going to be something special. I didn't expect it as early as we got it. I didn't expect year 3 into his NFL career that he's already a Super Bowl champion and would have been a viable fantasy draft and people wouldn't have been nervous about drafting him in fantasy if he wasn't injured this year. I didn't expect that much of an upcline from Carson Wentz, but I knew that he was going to be good. I was saying look at 4 years for that to really start. But when I look at Sam Darnold, the comparisons to Carson Wentz are not that far off. Probably the only thing to me that is the biggest difference between them is that Carson Wentz had more injuries in college, and he was a 5-time champion in college. He's a 5-time FCS champion, whereas Sam Darnold, in his years with USC, they didn't go to the college football playoff. They didn't win a national championship. And I know Sam Darnold playing at a vastly different level than Carson Wentz was, FCS to FBS. But I mean, I look at it and I go, the team that Carson Wentz had his rookie year wasn't the best year. Like, wasn't the best team on paper. Like, for wide receivers, he had Nelson Aguilar, who was in his second year as a pro. He had Jordan Matthews, who was just entering his third year as a pro. Zach Ertz was probably his best target. He was entering his his fourth year as a pro, and he did have a pretty veteran offensive line, which does help. Whereas you look at Sam Darnold and the offense, and I feel like he doesn't have that far of a difference where, I mean, to me, the biggest question mark for the Jets is going to be running back, because to me, Bilal Powell is good, not great. And you've got Isaiah Crowell, who was chased out of Cleveland. So, I mean, there's that. I mean, the running back for Carson Wentz I didn't mention was Ryan Matthews, who is trying to kind of restart his career after leaving San Diego. But, like, I look at the wide receivers, and really the biggest one is, like, the number one wide receiver is going to be Robbie Anderson for the Jets. That, to me, is the biggest difference. Is, like I said before, maybe he doesn't have the best roster. That will be the thing that maybe holds Carson Wentz back, or not Carson Wentz, Sam Darnold back. Where Carson Wentz went 7-9 with the Eagles, I think Sam Darnold, like, think of that as like the ceiling for Sam Darnold is 7 wins. Do I think they'll get there? Maybe, maybe not. But I would say 5 to 7 wins could be doable for the Jets this year because of the team, not necessarily wide receivers, but their defense is pretty good in New York and could help Sam Darnold this year as a rookie.
I think a couple things that you're missing out on there.
Okay.
The fact that, one, we got the curse to deal with. I mean, Darnold is a USC quarterback.
True.
Those don't work in the NFL anymore.
They don't at all.
But anyways, I think we're missing a big part of the Eagles coaching staff and how capable they were to groom a young quarterback and create a great quarterback. Because honestly, Carson Wentz, he had a good rookie year, but it wasn't a great rookie year. It was nothing phenomenal. He had things he had to learn from, and he really came out hard in year 2, impressing everybody and kind of shutting down any doubters that he had after that rookie year. But, you know, it's not going to be the same situation for Darnold. Darnold doesn't have the same capable coaches offensively really to learn from and really to groom him to where, I mean, you already have these this whole offense coordinator quarterback coach combo here that they just went and won a Super Bowl with, spreading off and going in different directions and doing their own things now. And it's a little different. I mean, obviously the Jets have more of a defensive focus. That's what they're more concerned about. Could that change in the future? I don't know. It might, depending on how they do this year and if that is enough to get rid of a coach or if they stick around with a coach for a while. Who knows? But I just think that is such a key part to it, is that Carson Wentz was able to be a sponge and just soak up all this great coaching knowledge and quarterback coaching knowledge as well.
And Jet fans are probably going to jump all over us because they're going to say, well, guys, Robbie Anderson last year, you got to put some respect on that name. Where basically He had, out of 114 targets, 63 receptions, was about 59 yards away from an 1,000-yard season last year, 7 touchdowns for the Jets. You had Josh McCown, who was just shy of being a 3,000-yard passer. And when you mention the coaching staff, that's why I kind of mentioned those numbers, because the Eagles in 2016, Wentz's rookie year, they basically had the same coaching staff that they had. Well, I'm talking the main 3 that they had last year, were Doug Peterson, quarterback whisperer, and the guy that they brought in to lead the Eagles. He was the head coach. You had Frank Reich, who was there last year, just recently left for the Colts. He was the OC. Jim Schwartz, ex-Lions head coach, was the DC for the Eagles. And that's why this year, it's not really Todd Bowles that I'm looking at for the Jets. I'm looking at their offensive coordinator in Jeremy Bates. This is a guy that just since 2010. So 2010, he was the offensive coordinator for the Seattle Seahawks. In 2012, he was nowhere. Then quarterback coach with the Bears in 12. And then his next job is with the Jets in 2017. And then this past year, he'll be the quarterback coach and offensive coordinator for the New York Jets. All of Sam Darnold's success, it's almost like the debate Brandon and I had yesterday on the Primetime Podcast about Michigan. Yeah, Sam Darnold's going to have to go out there and play the games, but it's going to be, in my mind, Jeremy Bates' job and Todd Bowles' job, but more Jeremy Bates' job to put Sam Darnold in good expectations and good situations this year.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it comes down to coaching. You can have all the great players in the world, but if you got a bad coach, and I'm not even saying that Bates is necessarily a bad coach, or Todd Bowles is a bad coach.
Mm-hmm.
Although, I mean, you look at Bates' background, and it's not the most impressive thing in the world. But, you look at that, and you just sit there and you say, do we have exactly what we need to take a young quarterback and bring him forward?
Mm-hmm.
Do you need to go and put your young quarterback in a better situation? Like Peterson with Wentz, or like how Chicago got rid of John Fox and got Matt Nagy because they feel that's a better situation for their young quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that you want? Are you scared of limiting the development of a young quarterback? You look at a team like the New York Jets, which they do not have a young quarterback, but they have a quarterback that's seen a little bit of some struggles and seen some rough times,
mm-hmm.
and they want to go out and get a guy like Pat Shurmur because of what he was able to do offensively for the Minnesota Vikings,
mm-hmm.
getting everything he could out of Case Keenum. I mean, the coaching is a huge role. It's a huge part. And especially when you're a rookie, you need something like that. Now, Sam Darnold, fortunately, he's that kind of guy where he can be like a Cam Newton or one of these guys, like a Russell Wilson's a good combination too. One of these guys who can say, I'm going to carry this team right now, and I'm going to make sure we're in a situation to win. And it's all going to depend on how much freedom is he going to have. Are they going to let him do that? Are they going to handcuff him? Are they going to say, no, you don't get to take this game over. You do what we tell you to do.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of that needs to be seen before we can really start to make good calls on what his rookie year is probably going to look like. And the preseason is not the kind of time where you get to see that stuff. Because, of course, the preseason is all about just vanilla offense, vanilla defense.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just grade the skills of these players. You're not really using a playbook. You're not really game planning or anything like that. So you don't get to see a guy, a young quarterback like that, really take the training wheels off and go with it. Or sometimes if you do see them do that, it's because they want to see some skills, and then they go, okay, cool. Now that we have this game plan, you don't do that anymore. You do what we tell you to do.
Well, and what's funny is I'm kind of looking at like into why he was let go from the Seahawks and the Bears. And it's funny, when the year he was with the Seahawks, 2010 should sound familiar because that was the year they went 7-9 and were first in the AFC West. That was the beast mode game against the Saints with the hold my dick kind of a thing, where they beat the Saints in the wild card round before, I think, losing to the Bears in the playoffs in the next
Correct.
round. But he was brought over with Pete Carroll to be the offensive coordinator in his first year, but then fired in January of 2011 because of a difference in philosophy, is what they're saying. Basically, they didn't like how you were running the offense. Then with the Bears, he joined them in February of 2012. He was the quarterback coach under Mike Tice when Mike Tice was the OC of the
terrible
Bears.
offense.
Yeah, and it reunited him with Jay Cutler, it says. But in 2010, he actually withdrew from the Bears, from consideration for Bears OC, and that eventually went to Mike Martz. And then January, basically a day before, almost 2 years of the day, he was fired from Seattle. He was fired from Chicago, and he was among 7 coaches not to be retained by head coach Mark Trestman. So he was basically fired when Trestman came in because Trestman wanted to bring in his guys. Now he's with the Jets, and really that's where I think Sam Darnold's success lies in, because Tom Bowles is not an offensive coach. He is a defensive-minded coach. So really, the main guy that's going to be, who needs to be basically the Josh McDaniels, like Tom Brady is Tom Brady, but Tom Brady has Josh McDaniels in New England. Jeremy Bates needs to be that to Sam Darnold. And to me, this is an interesting situation because another thing that I'll mention, that this is not me, I was right, you were wrong kind of a thing, but both you and I said in our Jets preview, this was way back. This was like end of June, middle of June that we said this. We were like, yeah, the Jets, get used to it because you're going to start Sam Darnold. Like, it's just, that's going to be your starter. And if you go back to that comment section, there were Jet fans saying, no, not so fast. There's no way Sam Darnold is going to be our starter because we have Josh McCown. So to me, that is the most interesting part of this, is basically the Jets are saying we're not going to start Josh McCown, who got them, I believe, 7 wins last year with the same. Jeremy Bates was a quarterback coach last year, same weapons around him. So they must think that with Bates as the OC now and Sam Darnold, they must think that Sam Darnold could get them more than 7 games. Am I right?
Or they're just going with the philosophy of, we drafted this guy so early,
True.
So we better use him.
We traded up to get him.
Yeah. And Josh McCown, I mean, he certainly impressed and surprised some people last year. No, very few people outside of New York had much faith in what the Jets were going to do last year. But they got it done. You know, they did well enough. And they end up now with Sam Darnold, who obviously drafted very high in the NFL draft. And, you know, you draft a quarterback like that, it's not because you want him to sit on the bench. That's the shocking thing about, like, Josh Allen with Nathan Peterman. Unless you have somebody, you know, and I know Mason Rudolph was not drafted in the first round, but you draft a Mason Rudolph and you say, well, Big Ben's here now, so you sit and you learn. Or even, honestly, Josh Rosen, who's like, you know, he gets drafted by the Cardinals, but the Cardinals are sitting there going, hey, we've got a good quarterback in Sam Bradford. Now, he gets injured a lot, but he's still a good quarterback. That's somebody who, okay, it's understandable that you're going to sit behind this guy.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that was a number 1 pick not too long ago. So it's not too often you're going to be in that situation. The Jets certainly were not in that situation with Josh McCown. So you draft a guy, you expect him to play. To me, it's that simple.
And if you're sitting there at home thinking, well, Ricky, you read that article that was kind of comparing Sam Darnold to Carson Wentz, or hoping the Jets will get that from Sam Darnold. I wonder, could you remind me who was the other quarterback behind Carson Wentz the year he was a rookie? And I looked it up, and I'm going to let you guess the name, Mark, but the clue that I will give you is he might be your favorite Bear quarterback from the preseason.
Oh, nice. Well, I know that they had Sam Bradford and they traded him, but I'm going to guess the other one would be Chase Daniel.
It was Chase Daniel. Or Chase
Daniel.
He's
got the Kansas City and Peterman connection.
Yes. Yeah, he was
or Peterson connection.
2016 he was actually with KC from 2013 to 2015, and then that next year he was with the Eagles. His only year with the Eagles before going to the Saints, and then now the Bears this year. But before we move on into our picks, any final thoughts you got on the Jets or Sam Darnold starting week 1?
The only thing I have to say about this is just it was obvious. We knew it was going to happen.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, for me, and I'll get this to a little bit more in our picks, is a good thing for Sam Darnold in his first game. My biggest question for them is their run game, especially with Isaiah Crowell, that's going to be their starting running back. But the good thing is Detroit's in the same boat, as they've got LeGarrette Blount, who, he's a proven veteran, but it's his first year in Detroit. And they've got a rookie in Kerryon Johnson, who many think will take the job. But we will see what will happen. Should be a good Monday night game, and Sam Darnold will be starting it. But this is where you guys let us know what you think down below in that comment section. What do you think for Sam Darnold this year? What do you think of the Jets this year? What should we expect from both of them in 2018? Let us know what you think down below in that comment section.